Hi again then guys, and welcome to my review, as promised, of the sequel to Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. Dead Snow 2, let's keep it simple. This movie came out 5 years after the first one. 2009, this one was 2014, same director, and even, of course, the same lead actor. How does that work? Because I'm going to assume in this review that you've seen the first one. If you haven't, watch my review for that one, check out both movies back to back, then come back. However, I am going to consider it, as I said, that you've already seen the first movie, but not necessarily this one. So we start with the guy that ends the last movie. That is an interesting place to start, because it seemed to be pretty self-contained that he died at the end. Of course, it wasn't on screen, which is the great excuse to use, but it was borderline. It was pretty borderline. You see, of course, how he escapes. The movie very quickly sets the tone that this is even more over the top than the first one, and it basically just carries on from there. This movie is great. I love Dead Snow 2. I completely agree with the fact that it has better scores than the first one, and unlike most circumstances where I do prefer the original, the vast majority in fact, I prefer Species 1 over Species 2, I prefer Alien over Aliens, Predator 1 over Predator 2, etc. On this occasion, I unabashedly like the second one more. This is bigger, funnier, way more outrageous, way more stupid than the first one, but in all the best ways. This is actually my favourite horror comedy in quite some time. I love this movie. Now, the plot is also totally different to the first flick, because as similar as it is, it's also quite different. In the first movie, of course, you had the group of kids, went up to the cabin, Nazi zombies pop out, and then they have to survive. It's beautifully simple. In this one, it's kind of similar because, again, you have the same zombies from the first movie, plus some more, but this time the zombies are more ambitious. They want to wipe out towns and take over civilizations, which was their original mission. From Hitler, of course. Why wouldn't it be? That is basically all you need to know on the plot front. As I said, it follows that guy from the first movie, but his arc... His arc from that first film to this one is ridiculous. Now, the one thing I will say, and I could have mentioned this in my review of the first movie, but I think it's more apropos to keep it here, is that in that first movie, he gets bitten on the arm, so he chops his arm off. Fair enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he then gets bitten in the dick. That's never revisited in this movie. Did the director forget that that happened? Is that a deliberate joke that it's never revisited? I honestly don't know, but it definitely wasn't discussed, mentioned, shown, nothing ever again. So that was kind of weird to me, almost like an overthought, or an oversight, I should say. So it's just an interesting point. Did it ruin the movie? Nah, not in the slightest. Especially since we know that, you don't get infected by being bitten. They're not that kind of zombie. They're supernatural zombies, not viral zombies. Which is cool, because most movies these days are going for viral zombies. So, my overarching recommendation for the movie is, if you enjoyed the first one, you will love this one. If you didn't like the first one, you will love this one. Because I am not a huge fan of the first one. I liked it. There was a lot of things about it which I thought were really well done, and as I said in my review, I did like it, but I didn't love it. Those few moments. I mean, again, as I said, I'm going to assume that you've seen the first one. Killing his girlfriend with the axe, and that really dumb secondary character who sets the whole cabin on fire with the Molotov. Those two things were a big issue for me with the first one. This movie manages to take both of those things and correct them, because it gives that death more meaning, and in a wacky turn of events, as again I mentioned in the spoiler section of that first video, it recasts that same guy who plays the skinny, dumb friend as a completely different character in this movie, who I loved. He was a fantastic character in this second movie. He's so funny, and there's one particular character who I'm not going to spoil. I'm going to get into it in the spoiler section, but there's one character in this movie who is very timid. They don't say very much, and they're in a wheelchair to begin with. I know, wrap your mind around that. And this character made me laugh out loud. By far the funniest character in the movie, as far as I was concerned. So speaking of spoilers, I'm going to leave my non-spoiler there and say check out the movie, for sure. If you're a horror fan, definitely a gore fan, and definitely a horror comedy fan, you will love how insane this movie is. And also, the final thing I'll say in the non-spoiler, surprisingly mean-spirited. This movie is a lot more mean-spirited than the first one, in a dark comedy kind of way. I'm talking stuff like babies in prams being pushed by their mothers, being blown up by a tank, kind of dark and mean-spirited, like seriously mean-spirited, but hilarious at the same time. So, let's get into spoilers. Of course, the character that I'm referring to is the, I believe, gay character. In fact, yeah, he was gay character in this second one. He is absolutely hilarious, and it shows that the actor is so much better, or can be so much better than he was cast as in the first film, because in this one he's great. He is so funny, and my favourite character that I was referring to is the guy who, if I recall correctly, was in the wheelchair, right? When they got off the coach, of course the Nazis kill them all, and then he's the one who gets resurrected first. And then resurrected again, and then resurrected multiple times through the movie, and even thinking about it makes me laugh. The particular scene, and you probably already know what I'm going to say, when those imbeciles from America, the zombie squad, come over from the States to help out. They're driving in the car, and they get stuck. And they get the zombie out, they put him on the ground, and they use his crotch to give the car traction. It wasn't that they did that was funny. It was the timing, the comedy timing that guy has is perfection, along with the editing. When he gets run over, I thought that was going to be it. I thought they were going to just leave him behind. When he gets back into the back of the car and kind of wobbles around, as he does in most of the movie, and then just does that noise, which becomes his signature sound from then on out through the movie. Almost like this puppy who just wants to please his master. And he just kind of flumps there in the back of the car and goes... I love that character so much in this movie. I found him so funny. Every time he's on screen, he's fantastic. When he finally gets his first kill, and even ending the movie with him just looking at the steamy car, rocking back and forth, looking so proud for his master. He was such a funny character. I love the actor playing him. I love the portrayal. The constantly vomiting on himself, getting not reincarnated, but resurrected. He was such a great little character. He really made the movie for me. Him, the recasting of the guy who's gay in the second one with his pink shirt on, he was fantastic. And I love how they totally flipped the script on the first one by making the most timid guy who survives the first one this just total badass with his zombie arm. It's just so wacky that it all works. It actually kind of reminded me of a modern incarnation of like a Spaceballs. The obvious thing would be to compare it to like Shaun of the Dead, but to me, I actually found this far more enjoyable than Shaun of the Dead, and crucially far funnier. And I know that's sacrilege, especially from a Brit, and a Brit horror fan and comedy fan, to say that he's not really a huge fan of Shaun of the Dead, but I'm just not, sorry. This one, I absolutely love it. I found it hilarious. I will definitely be watching it again. And the idea of bringing the Soviets back to fight the Nazis, fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And I kind of loved how the leader of the Soviets sort of looked like me, actually, with the big beard. I've even got a coat exactly like that, like the Bane coat. It was cool. It's badass, it's funny, fantastic gore, great characters. So, of course, I'm sharing it with praise. I love this movie so much more than the first one. The first one was good. This one is great, as far as I'm concerned. So, of course, tell me your thoughts down below. Did you maybe dislike the movie? Give me some reasons if you did. Did you love it? Of course, tell me your thoughts on that little guy who does all the funny noises as well. And, of course, stick around on the channel for more movie reviews. But until next time, I'll see you then. And for now, as always, Thanks for watching.